Welcome back to Travsessed Tuesdays, the Traveler Quick Fire. And we are your hosts, Kim and Aaron. We are healthcare travelers for over 10 years and the creators of Travsessed and the host of this damn podcast.
Yeah, baby.
Whoop.
So on Tuesday, that was like anticlimactic. Like, I was like, yeah, baby.
Yeah,
and then you were like, yep. Like,
well,
that was awkward.
I think that would have been a cool place to have like a cool jingle,
yeah.
like Traveler, Quick Fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give us your questions. We'll give you some answers.
That just got awkward.
Yeah.
So on Tuesdays, we are starting this new segment. On Thursdays, we talk about us as we prefer and our lifestyle as healthcare travelers and just all the things. And on Tuesdays, we're answering these quick fire questions that we get in our Facebook group or in DMs and just things that we see a lot of travelers asking. So we're going to answer them in 15 minutes or less, and they're going to be geared just towards this topic. And so if you have questions that you want us to answer that are specifically healthcare traveling related, DM us at Kim and Aaron G on Instagram. And also share this podcast out. Like, it means so much to us for us to be able to grow and connect with other travelers. And if you feel like these add any value or you know someone that could take something away from this, please share this podcast out on your Instagram. Like, that would be freaking awesome, baby. And tag us at Kim and Aaron G.
Whoop.
All right, let's get into today's question.
Okay, today's question is, do travel companies pay for your relocation?
Please prepare for departure.
And the answer is yes and no.
Gray area, would you say?
A little gray, just like healthcare traveling in general, the industry.
Totally.
Okay,
so explain the yes.
So the yes, okay. So as a healthcare traveler, we get a pay package. Every single contract, you get a pay package, and it's broken down into your hourly, your per diems, your housing stipend, your on-call, your holiday OT, and then also something called travel reimbursement, if you choose to take that or not, okay? That's the caveat. So technically, they allot a certain amount of money to go into the part of your pay package that is considered travel reimbursement. And what that means is that you get a chunk of cash. So say your travel reimbursement is $1,500, okay? That means typically they'll break that into 2 payments, and you will get you'll get half on your first paycheck. So it's kind of nice because you get this big chunk of cash after you've moved.
And it's tax-free.
Right, it's tax-free, and you get that, after you've moved and you've rented a new place and you've driven across the country and whatever it is, the expenses you have incurred to start a new contract, you'll get a bigger first paycheck, and then on the last paycheck, they'll pay you the final half. So in a sense, yes, they do consider it travel reimbursement, but the reality is it's not really for your travel. It's just a different way that they are characterizing tax-free money within your pay package. And you can either choose to get that money up front, or you can have that money that's already yours spread out in between your weekly pay.
Totally, and I think that's where the big understanding is, right? Because number one, it's based off of the mileage reimbursement is where it comes from. So it's literally like whatever it is, you can go to mileage reimbursement nationwide, and it's usually 52 cents, 59 cents per mile is what they can reimburse that as. And so, Kim and I, over the years of traveling, have realized, like, unless like our per diems are maxed out and we have extra money in the pay package, then we'll put it into a travel reimbursement. But if our per diems aren't maxed out, I'm not taking travel reimbursement. I'd rather it be just lumped in to my pay package, whether it be in my housing stipend or in, maybe increasing hourly a little bit if my housing stipend is maxed out. But I try to keep it in a tax-free zone. So if my housing's maxed out, then I will take that travel reimbursement because, it's understanding that the bill rate and that money is your money, right? And so
wait, you got to explain this though. If you're going to the bill rate is what sets the tone for the pay package, right? The bill rate is what the hospital is willing to pay for a traveler to come work for them. That is what sets the amount of money that you'll make. The pay package is then so basically the bill rate. So we see this should be a different quickfire. We don't need to break down the whole bill rate.
This is a good understanding though of like understanding travel reimbursement like how are they paying you for relocation or not?
Well, right, but it's broken down into, so whatever's left over from the bill rate, like it's one big pot of cash and everyone gets paid for that. Your recruiters, your company, everything comes out of that. So once the cut has gone out to the company you're working for, whatever's left is your money. Then that money is yours. If it's 20 grand, it's 20 grand. It doesn't matter how that comes out. It's still your money. So if you're choosing to get 2,000 of that 20 in a travel reimbursement, that's what you're choosing to do because you would rather have like a bigger chunk up front. Or you could take that 2,000 that they would give you for travel and reimbursement and either put it more into per diems or housing if that's available because that's tax free, or put it into your hourly, which is tax. So that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but some people want a higher tax because of other reasons. So those are things to kind of think about, but that's how it works. Like that money is yours to begin with. So what I wanted to say and what I thought was important was that I think a lot of people think that if you're driving from, New York to Florida, that the company is actually going to give you some upfront money and it's going to help you get to your new location. So it's going to be your gas money and your food and your, hotels and all of that. That's not how it works. So in that way, it's not a relocation fee because you're paying everything out of pocket. Like they're not giving you money up front. So you're paying for that. And then if you do choose to take the travel reimbursement, then you will get a bigger first paycheck. And that will help with some of those costs. But again, that's still money that's yours anyways. Like it's not this free section of money that they're like, let's give this travel reimbursement to Susie because that will help her with her expenses. That money's already built into your pay package based on the bill rate. That money's already yours. So it's not any secret special money they're giving you to help you travel. It's already there and you can choose to take it up front or you can choose to have it broken down into your paycheck.
Totally.
But that's how it works.
And it's also not like you're going to go and itemize your receipts and present them to your travel company once you arrive in your new city and they're going to reimburse you for every hotel and every gas and every food and it doesn't work that way. It's literally one of the things that we talk about all the time is literally the expenses that incur in between contracts. And the goal is that you make enough as a traveler to offset those expenses / get to experience some cool shit around the United States when you're traveling. Exactly.
Because I think that's the other misconception is that people, like if you're like, oh, I drove from Florida or New York to Florida and it cost me $1,000. Like it was so expensive and my company only gave me $300
for travel reimbursement.
And they think like, no, but shouldn't it be the full amount that I paid? And that's the confusion is that no, technically you're not really getting compensated for that travel and that relocation. There's so many perks to traveling. Like you said, the money that you make over time and the time off and living in cool places, there's so many perks, but the expenses in between getting from place to place is something that you are responsible for. It just comes with it. It comes with the territory. So they're not paying you dollar for dollar what you spend. They're just taking this chunk out of whatever your pay package already is. And they're saying, hey, we have X amount of dollars that we have extra that we could put into tax free for you if you want. And it could be $500. Do you want that or do you not? Like most people say yes. Like honestly, if I have, my decent hourly wage, which I like to keep it at like $25 an hour, and I have my per diems maxed out and I have my housing maxed out and there's still money left over. So we're talking about a pretty big bill rate right now. There's still money left over. I want that to be in the form of a travel reimbursement because it's tax-free money.
To the allotted amount for mileage that they can give you. It's not an infinite number. It's not like, oh, you got 5,000 left. I'll just give you all of that. It still has to fit within that mileage mark.
Exactly. They can't give you more than how the distance you went versus what the mileage amount that they can give you. They can't give you more, but they might not even have, it might only be like a couple $100 that they could give you in tax-free money. And it wouldn't, technically you would be getting more, but they don't even have that left over, if that makes sense, right?
Well, right. And I mean, looking at it from a point of view, I just did this math real quick. It was 1,000 miles. It was 1,001 miles from our door in Jacksonville, from our tax home to the contract in Poughkeepsie. And so with that being said, let's say the mileage is 52 cents. The only amount I can get for travel reimbursement is $520.
Yeah.
So if you look at that with gas, hotel,
That's
food,
nothing.
you're not going to be reimbursed for the money that you spent, but you're getting 520 extra tax-free dollars on your first paycheck.
Right.
And so that's just stuff you have to understand and weigh out
Yeah.
as a traveler, and understanding how we get paid as travelers takes away the anxiety of like, they're not giving me what I deserve. And it's like, no, you just don't understand the pay package. You don't understand how we get paid as travelers. And we're hoping that these podcasts start to shed some light on that.
Yes.
Because then it takes the anxiety away and you understand, and you can just go back to enjoying this amazing lifestyle that we get to live as travelers.
Yeah, that's one of our hopes for these quick fires, is that, you know, there's always tons of questions, and unfortunately there's a lot of bad answers because I think people just throw things around that they don't really understand. And I think when you can really understand how things are working, you're less like entitled and kind of saying, I should be getting this, or it's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, this is actually how it works. So then you can make decisions based off the facts and what works best for you. It used to be too, this will be the last thing I say, but it used to be a few years ago that you were able to write things off as a traveler.
Before 2016.
Which was such a cool perk, because you were able to drive to New York and you could write off your hotels, your gas, your mileage, all the things, because you were like going to work, right? You could write off your scrubs. You could do different things, and then, which is such a huge perk, right? And then they changed the law and you're not allowed to do that anymore, which really sucks. But that's just the law. That's what it is. So you cannot write off anything. You don't need, like you had mentioned, you don't need to worry about sending in receipts or saving receipts. You're not going to get compensated for that. You're not going to be reimbursed. And that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I mean, you'll hear a lot of like travelers out there in different groups and things like that saying like, I submitted all my receipts and got paid for it and blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, oh, wow. Like, you have no idea where that money came from. That came out of your money that you would have already had built into your pay package,
Yeah,
right?
I think companies think it looks nice, right? You're like, oh, you're getting a travel reimbursement. And I think it looks really appealing to the traveler. Like, oh, they're going to help me get to where I'm going. That's awesome. And like, they kind of market it that way. And while, yes, it can be helpful to have that big chunk of cash, like I'm not complaining about getting a travel reimbursement, but I think the way that sometimes it can be perceived makes it a little bit more confusing to realize, but it's not like a relocation fee. Like, you know, there's more to it. It's a little different. And there's different things to think about, and it's already your money. It's not some free money that they've reserved for you to help you get situated. It's already yours. So I think understanding that's helpful. So anyways.
Totally. Again, we hope that these help. Come back for next week, next Tuesday, for another Traveler Quickfire. If you have questions, again, please DM us on Instagram at Kim and Aaron G. Be happy to answer your questions. Share these out with your friends, other travelers. That way they can get the info and hopefully help clear up some things that maybe they're questioning. And we just want this to be the spot that you guys come and get some good information, some reliable information, and so you can enjoy your travel life as much as we have these past 10 years.
Yes, love that for us.
Yeah.
And for you.
And that's how you end a podcast.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.